And now Kutztown University Athletics and KUR present to you this week's edition of the Golden Bear Beat. This weekly radio program brings to you an in-depth look at the week in sports around campus, including game highlights, player and coach interviews, and an analysis of recent sporting events. Live on campus, let's send it to our host, Adam Dobrowolski.
And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Bear Beat as we are in the first week of March here, getting close to spring break, and hopefully by the time we return from spring break, there won't be any more snow on the ground, and we'll be all geared to go for some home games here on the KU campus for lacrosse, for baseball, and for softball. But here, as it's still early in March, we are wrapping up the winter seasons. We'll give you the 2013-2014 Kutztown seasons in review for men's and women's basketball. Also, we will be taking a look at how wrestling and indoor track and field fared in their postseason meets. Wrestling was in the Super Region 1 championships, indoor track and field in the PSAC championships. So we'll talk about that. We'll see for each team who is heading to the NCAA championships. And from there, also talk about some other postseason things going on for the Golden Bears in that regard. Also, we'll talk about bowling and their action this weekend as well. Let's get things started, though, first and foremost with the basketball teams. Both the men and the women were in the PSAC championship tournament, which began this past Saturday. And one of the two teams made it to Tuesday in the PSAC quarterfinals. So let's take a look at what happened with those two teams, beginning things off with the KU men, as the Golden Bears were the 6th seed in the PSAC East. They were on the road Saturday at Bloomsburg, the 3 seed, a team that they beat twice in the regular season. Back in January, Golden Bears won at Keystone Arena 72-61. Kutztown able to outscore the Huskies down the stretch 65-33 over the final 30 minutes. Second meeting, which was a regular season finale, Kutztown won 73-64. They used a 34-6 run for the victory. Here in this one, Kutztown didn't have that long run. How would that mean they fare? Early in the game, it went a little bit back and forth, the teams exchanging leads and small leads. At that, Kutztown was up 10-5 after a 7-0 run. Fred Dukes had a layup. That was at the first media timeout. After that, Bloomsburg would be able to get a 7-0 run of their own, grab a 12-10 lead with 11:08 to go. Kutztown did get the lead back. They led as much as 4 on 3 different occasions. Their latest 4-point lead, a 22-18 lead with 7:04 to go. But Bloomsburg went on a nice run to finish out the half, as they led 34-25 at the half, a 16-3 run for the Huskies to close out that first stanza. The Golden Bears in the first half shot 10 of 23, did not hit a single 3 in the first half. Remember, they went 6 of 12 in that previous meeting. In terms of long shooting, they had Martin Dietrich hit 5 of them. Bloomsburg in the first half, 12 of 33. But they were able to get to the line and get some offensive rebounds, to say the least, in that first half. And offensive rebounds the key in the second half. Though Kutztown looking to make a comeback, they trailed by 7 heading into the second half. Bloomsburg kept that lead for 3 different occasions. 38-31 the score with 16 minutes to go, but Kutztown would score the next 7 points, tie the game up at 38. Bloomsburg would get the lead back, but Kutztown yet again would tie things up 45-45 the score with 9:52 to go. But after that, Bloomsburg going on another run, 9-2 run, made it 54-47 with 8:02 to go. After Kutztown got it within 2, 58-56 with 5:50 to go, Bloomsburg would end up scoring the next 9 points. They would go up 67-56, final 3:18 to go. Kutztown tried to close it late, but Bloomsburg would win 82-71. The offensive rebounding the key for the Huskies, as they had 23 offensive rebounds. Kutztown had just 23 defensively, so Bloomsburg able to put themselves in position to score off of half of their misses. And also of note, the turnover battle was key. Kutztown had 21 turnovers. Bloomsburg would get 23 points off those turnovers. They also had 17 second chance points. Kutztown had just 15 points off turnovers, 8 second chance points. So that deficit for Kutztown was 40-23 among those two stats, and obviously that 17-point difference helping Bloomsburg to an 11-point victory. Kutztown finishes the season up 10-17 as the Golden Bears saw themselves get into the postseason after last year having just 5 wins, but here for Kutztown, their season coming to an end in early March. As we'll take a look momentarily at the season review for the men, let's talk about the women. As Saturday, they were at Shippensburg, a team they lost to twice in the regular season by 29. In late January, they lost 86-57 at Shippensburg at Higgs Fieldhouse, where this game was at on Saturday. And then late February, the Golden Bears lost at home 81-52. But in this game, Kutztown hoping to keep things close, and they would do just that, as it was the Golden Bears taking advantage of Shippensburg not having their key sophomore forward Stephanie Nauer, who was the PSAC East Freshman of the Year last year. Kutztown actually able to win this rebounding battle, and they were also able to get some big plays going in the first half from 3. Kutztown would go 4 of 5 from 3, and they would build themselves a halftime lead. After Shippensburg went on an early run, in fact, they led early 8-2, Kutztown would get a nice run going and build themselves a lead as they had a pair of free throws from Lauren Gold give Shippensburg a 17-15 lead. They would build the lead up to 6 once again, 21-15. Kutztown would counter back, and at one point they would score 6 consecutive points, tie the game up at 23 with 7:31 to go in the first half. Shippensburg would get a 2-point lead, but then Jess Harvey at 3 with 5:42 to go gave Kutztown a 1-point lead. The lead would exchange back and forth over the next 2 possessions, but Kutztown then would extend the lead to double digits at halftime. Jess Harvey, up by 3, would get another 3-pointer with 3:58 to go. Kutztown led 33-27. Then Kutztown would get another 3, this time from Jenna Altamir. KU would go up 40-28 for Kutztown. A nice run, 14-1. To build that 12-point lead, they would lead 44-32 at the half. In the second half for the Golden Bears, they would see Shippensburg try to mount that comeback, but Kutztown would keep the distance. Shippensburg got the game within 6, 50-44 at 15:28 to go, but Avia Campbell in the paint with a layup. Campbell saw some foul trouble, so Kutztown would have to have players off the bench become reliable, and that happened in the second half. Players like Kelsey Watson doing the job. Watson getting a layup with 11:12 to go gave Kutztown a double-digit lead. Later on in the half, it was also Kara Funk who came up big, and that was down the stretch. Shippensburg getting the game within 5, 68-63 with 3:51 to go, and Kara Funk with a layup would bring things back to a 9-point lead for Kutztown, 72-63 with 2:34 to go. Then it was free throws by Funk. With 1:24 to go, Funk would hit 1 of 2 from the line, 73-65 the score. After Shippensburg got 2 free throws, Funk would return with 2, making it 75-67, a minute 18 to go. Shippensburg would try a 3, and no good from Lauren Gold. Kara Funk would get the rebound, hit 2 more free throws, 77-67 the score. After 2 free throws from Shippensburg, Funk again going to the line. She would hit both yet again, 79-69 the score, now 58 seconds to go. Shippensburg would come back with a bucket, but again, Kara Funk, 2 free throws with 50 seconds left to go, still a 10-point game, now 81-71. Sarah Strybuck would hit a 3 for Shippensburg, but again, Kara Funk going to the line. She would hit 2 free throws with 38 seconds left to go. After Shippensburg missed a 3-pointer, Kutztown gets the rebound and puts the game away, winning 83-74 as Kara Funk had 10 free throws down the stretch. She would have 13 in the game. Funk went 13 of 14 from the free throw line. Those 13 free throws made a season high this season for the Golden Bears. Funk had a career-high 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Also had a pair of steals. Kelsey Watson off the bench, 8 of 11 from the field, 16 points in total, also 8 rebounds. Kutztown had 40 bench points. Shippensburg had just 3. So while Stephanie Nair wasn't in the starting lineup and the replacement in the starting lineup, Logan Snyder, did a good job. Because Snyder had to go from the bench to a starter, the bench production wasn't there for Shippensburg. Kutztown also had a double-double from Alyssa Bonenberger, 14 points, 13 rebounds, and put herself to her 6th double-double of the season. That sent the Golden Bears to the quarterfinals where they would play Westchester, a team they beat in the PSAC playoffs last year and went out to a 3-game sweep. That win was in the PSAC first round. This year, Westchester winning both regular season matchups. Would they get a third, or would Kutztown move on to this weekend? Early in the game, the Kutztown offense was working well. Westchester getting aggressive in the full court and in the half court. Kutztown breaking through that press and getting some points to go. Kutztown, in fact, did not allow Westchester to get a field goal until 5 minutes and 14 seconds into the game when Anna Kuntz had a layup. Kutztown did lead 8-1, led 10-3, an early 7-point lead, but after that, Westchester able to get a little mini run, 8-1, to tie things up at 11 thanks to a Kendall Benavie 3. The lead would go back and forth in the first half afterward, Westchester holding the lead for the majority of the next 3 or 4 minutes, but Kutztown would see themselves get a layup from Avia Campbell to tie the game up at 24 with 6:14 to go. Kara Funk in the next possession with a layup made it 26-24. Kutztown would then work the half court very well, tied at 32. Campbell again with a layup made it 34-32. Next possession, Jenna Altamir hits a baseline jumper, 36-32 the score. Kutztown would lead at the half 42-36, trying to keep up with what they did last year against the Golden Rams when Kutztown shot 55% from the floor. They would shoot 18 of 35 in the first half, 51.4% from the field. Westchester was at 39.3, but in the second half, Westchester would come out the gate storming. First possession for them, they would miss a jumper, get an offensive rebound, miss a 3, another offensive rebound, and a putback. Second chance points there for the Golden Rams, but then they would force a steal against Kutztown, then get a 3 to make it a 1-point game, 42-41. After another turnover forced, they would grab the lead. A 3 from Jasmine Clark made it 44-42. They would extend the run to 12-2. Dallas Ely with a layup, then a steal. Anna Kuntz with a layup, 48-42 the score. Westchester would extend the lead to 7 points. It was 56-49 with 12:14 to go, but Kutztown would end up grabbing a quick lead, going on a 9-0 run, capped by a 3 from Natalia Lee, 58-56 the score. Right after that, though, Westchester would find themselves down by 2 and get a 3 from Dallas Ely, 62-61 the score with 8:17 to go. That would begin a 13-0 run, and they would get some big plays going, build that lead up to 11, 72-61 with 6:19 to go. Kutztown would then trail by 13 later on in the second half, as it was 83-70 with 1:13 to go. Kutztown able to cut the deficit down to 4 late, but Westchester extending that lead back and winning 86-74. So the season ends for the Golden Bears at 10-18. In this final game, Avia Campbell had 19 points, 8 of 13 shooting from the floor. Natalia Lee had 16 off the bench. Kelsey Watson, 13 points, 9 rebounds. But for Westchester was 2 PSAC East first-teamers who got the job done. Brittany Sosinski, 23 points, 6 rebounds. Dallas Ely, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals. She was very big in the game, but offensive rebounds did in the Golden Bears in both the losses. For Westchester in the women's game, 20 offensive rebounds. For Bloomsburg in the men's game, they had 23 offensive rebounds. We talked about the points off turnovers in the Bloomsburg game for the men. Here for the women in this game, points off turnovers. Westchester 29, Kutztown 14. Second chance points, Westchester 15, Kutztown 9. 44-23 was the advantage for Westchester. 21-point difference there, 12-point win for Westchester. So the themes were the same there for those two teams. But those are how the playoffs went for these two teams. When we come back after a break here on KUR, as we return on the Golden Bear Beat, we will get you the season in review, talk a little bit about who finished with the best marks for these two teams, and then kind of build you up for next year, how things could potentially pan out as Kutztown sees just one senior between the two teams graduating. So we'll talk about that when we return. But for now, we head off to a quick break right here on KUR. Stay tuned for more right after this. Back here on the Golden Bear Beat as we return here, talking a little bit more about KU men's and women's basketball. Again, the Golden Bears men's basketball team lost in the first round of the PSAC championship tournament. They finished the season 10-17 overall. They did go 8-8 in the PSAC East. Some of their best wins this season for the Golden Bears were against winning teams. They swept Bloomsburg in the regular season. Now did lose in the postseason, but Bloomsburg was the East 3 seed. They finished the year 16-12. They won at Westchester February 8th, 73-70. That was arguably their best performance of the season. Westchester, a team that is the 2 seed in the East, and they are one of the 4 semifinal teams who will be playing at East Stroudsburg on Saturday. And if they can win, they'll move to the championship game on Sunday. But in that game on February 8th, Kutztown saw really their full potential from players like Fred Dukes, who's a junior transfer. He had 18 points, had 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. Ryan Connolly showed what he could do from 3 in the free throw line. Connolly finished this season shooting 88.9% from the free throw line, just a bit shy of the school record, 89.7% from Ty Brickus. But Connolly, good season overall from him from the free throw line. He also went 3 of 4 from 3 in the game, and Connolly finished the season shooting 36.6% from the 3. However, some of the best individual performances also can highlight the top players for the Golden Bears. Tracy Peel had 19 points on 2 different occasions for the Golden Bears. He was the leading scorer for Kutztown, but to look at those game-high performances or season-high performances for Kutztown, he had 29 points against Cal on January 4th. He had 27 points in the second half alone in a 63-52 loss to the Vulcans. The second time he had 29 points against East Stroudsburg on February 1st. That was on the road in a close game. The Golden Bears lost by just 8 points in this one as East Stroudsburg, the second-ranked team in Division II, and Kutztown nearly got the victory as they lost 75-67. Peel in that game, 11 of 18 from the field, 29 points, 11 rebounds. Kutztown was within 2 heading into the final 5 minutes, but ended up losing and giving the Warriors one of their very few single-digit victories of the season. Peel finished with 16.9 points per game, shot 48.6% from the field, and 67.7% from the free throw line. Also had 6.3 rebounds per game. Peel, just a sophomore, really improved his game over the second half of the season as he finished in the Bloomsburg game, as we mentioned, with 21 points. Peel ended up finishing with yet another 20-plus point game. That was his 8th time scoring 20-plus points in the 17 games in 2014. So Peel finishing the season strong. Also finishing the season strong, Josh Johnson. How about the freshman forward from Norristown, PA? Finishing the season 13.2 points per game, 61% from the field. That was second in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. Also had 6.9 rebounds per game, shot 67.4% from the free throw line. But Johnson, he finished off the season against Bloomsburg. Did foul out in the final game like Peel, but for Johnson, he finished the season out, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 of 11 from the field. It wasn't what he was doing to close out the regular season. Josh Johnson, in his final 4 games of the regular season, averaged 20.3 points per game. So he, if he returns next year along with Peel, those 2 guys up front are going to be very dangerous players moving forward. But you did see a lot of sophomores, freshmen, and junior college transfers play for the Golden Bears. Tyler Brooks was supposed to be the key player, the senior for Kutztown, but he lasted only 6 games before suffering a season-ending injury. So for Kutztown, the only player who is graduating, Mike McCready, and he had season and career-ending injury suffered this year. So Kutztown seeing primarily its minutes from players who are returning next year, actually potentially 100% if all players return to the roster next year. But Austin Beitelman, freshman point guard, he started all but 1 game he could appear in. He did miss a few games due to a concussion, but Beitelman finishing the season averaging 9.6 points per game, 36.2% shooting from the floor, also had 83 assists. He will get better next season. Elijah Jackson, as a redshirt freshman, became a starter by season's end. He really picked things up as of late, 7.5 points per game, 42.5% from the field, including 34.1% from 3. Fred Dukes picked it up as of late. He was a junior college transfer, as we mentioned. He finished at 4.5 points per game, but was able to get much better production down the end, as in his final 7 games, he had 4 in double digits, had a 7-point game and a 9-point game. Also had himself down that stretch a few of strong steals games, 5, 4, a pair of 2 and 1 down that stretch. Also, he had back-to-back 8 assists game and then 5 in the season finale in the postseason. So good job by Fred Dukes down the stretch. Other guys who really stepped up down the stretch, guys like a Martin Dietrich, who had 5 3-pointers in the regular season finale against Bloomsburg. There's a lot of working things here for Bernie Driscoll's team, and hopefully Kutztown will be able to recruit well again this upcoming year and then build into the experience that these guys had this past season. As for the women, they finished the season 10-18, and they have the PSAC East Defensive Player of the Year. Congratulations to Avia Campbell. What a season she had. The junior from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, set the school record in terms of blocks. She had 5 in the regular season the season finale for Kutztown. In the postseason against Westchester, had 20 in 3 games against the Golden Rams, 76 for the season. The previous high was set by Becky Savage in the 2002-2003 season at 68, but Campbell also had the school's first ever triple-double in the first meeting against Westchester back on December 7th, had 10 blocks in the game, which set a single-game record, and overall for the season, Campbell finishing with overall very good marks for the Golden Bears. Campbell, as mentioned, the 76 blocks, also had 76 steals, and she finished 3rd in terms of steals per game, and then 2nd overall in terms of steals. But she also led the team with 10.9 points per game and 7.3 rebounds per game. So Campbell got in as the PSAC East Defensive Player of the Year. Congratulations to her in terms of where she fit in the PSAC all-conference team. She was on the East Division 2nd team as a forward. Stephanie Nauer and Jessica Martin finished ahead of her due to a little bit more offensive production for those two. But Campbell will be a senior next year. She will definitely be a leader. You have Alyssa Bonenberger, who will be returning, starting all 28 games this year, started all 28 last year, and has a consecutive start streak into the 70s. This year, she finished at 9.8 points and 7.1 rebounds per game, had 6 double-doubles, and she shot 39.9% from the field. Campbell, by the way, shot 51.4% from the field. So those two players will be key moving forward. Also, Natalia Lee is a sophomore this year, 10.1 points per game, after a slow start in terms of shooting percentage, she finished the year 35.5%. So if she can build off the second half of this year, she'll be very strong as a junior next year. But the positive thing is you did have some valuable time for freshmen this year. Kutztown seeing Jess Harvey start games at point guard, and Harvey, the freshman, overall did a good job getting acclimated to the Division II basketball scene. 7.4 points per game, 35.6% shooting. Also had herself 60 assists on the season. Also, you had two key players off the bench. Kara Funk's going to be a nice two-guard in the future. Very quick player. She can continue to get to the line the way she did against Shippensburg in the PSAC first round. She'll be a very strong player for the Golden Bears moving forward. She averaged 6 points per game. Did shoot 31.3%, so that you figure will improve in her second season as she gets a little bit more adjusted to how to do the dribble drive as a freshman. And then the strong start and strong finish for the freshman Kelsey Watson really stand out. Watson began her career at 19 points and 11 rebounds against West Liberty, at 13 rebounds against Glenville State in her second game. Down the stretch, she finished very strong. Had, in fact, in her final 10 games, 6 games scoring in double figures. In the other 4, a 9-point game, 2 8-point games, and a 6-point game. You also had 8 and 6 in 2 previous games before the final 10. So down the stretch, Watson really did a good job. She also had some 8 rebound games, 3 of them, in fact, and then in her season finale, 9 rebounds. For the season, Watson finished with 8.8 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and shot 44.4% from the field. For both teams, overall, they're going to need to improve their three-point shooting marks. The women's team finished second to last in the conference in terms of three-pointers made per game overall for the season. They shot 29.6. The men finished in dead last in terms of three-point shooting, both in three-pointers made and three-point shooting percentage. 92 three-pointers made, 29% from three-point line. So both teams, in terms of what they'll need to improve next year, they'll need to be able to expand that offense, get three-point shooters who can hit those buckets. For Kutztown men's basketball, Ryan Connolly obviously is going to be a factor moving forward, as will Elijah Jackson and Martin Dietrich. We'll see if they look to recruit to get more of a three-point shooting presence next year. For the women, Jenna Altamere really had a strong stretch for a while, including 6 three-pointers in the December game against Westchester. Overall for the year, she finished shooting 32.8% from 3. She'll be a bigger factor moving forward. We'll see how players like a Natalia Leah, Jess Harvey, or a Kara Funk will factor into the three-point shooting next year. Also for the women, they'll look to improve their rebounding as they finished in the bottom 4 in terms of rebounding margin per game. They finished with 36.5 rebounds per game, but their opponents 40.9 rebounds per game. For the men, the rebounding could get a bit better. They had an average rebounding margin of negative 1.3, but really the three-point shooting should help out because Kutztown as a team shot 45.3% from the field. Their opponents 43.6%. They'll need to improve their three-point shooting, though, and they'll need to improve how they handle the ball. 419 turnovers in 27 games, something that they'll need to cut down next season. But having guys with that experience next year, handling the ball, handling Division II defenses, it certainly should be better moving forward. We're going to step off to another break, but when we come back here on the Golden Bear Beat on KUR, we'll take a look at KU Wrestling in the Super Region 1 Championships, KU Indoor Track and Field in the PSAC Championships, and bowling in the 3rd NEC Conference meet. All that is coming when we return right here on KUR. We'll have more right after this. Back here on the Golden Bear Beat, Adam Dobrovolsky in the KUR studios as we talk KU men's and women's basketball. That wraps up. We move on to KU wrestling and indoor track and field for both the men's and women's side. We'll start off with KU Wrestling as they were at the Super Region 1 Championships this past weekend at Pitt Johnstown. The wrestlers need to finish in the top 3 in terms of their weight ranks. There's 10 different weight ranks. Kutztown 1 in each weight rank. If they can finish in the top 3, they would move on to Cleveland, Ohio for the NCAA Championships, which takes place next weekend. But we start things off here in terms of the 125. Kutztown would send their senior to the mat, and Nick Lamoureux. He would face the 7 seed Austin Camachi of Millersville. He would fall via pin in 1 minute 2 seconds. And then in the consolation bracket, he would lose to the 8 seed in Dante Stefanino by pin in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. So Lamoureux, his career done as a Golden Bear, as he would go 2-0 at the 125. In the 133, Evan Yanilevich would show his dominance. Yanilevich has struggled with injuries and weight issues this season in terms of making weight for 133. He's wrestled at 141, but looking now this year to do 133. But when he's been on the mat, he's been dominant, and he showed it this weekend. He was a 2 seed, defeated George Lischke of American International 15-1. That's a major decision. So you get, in terms of team, like dual meets, you get 4 points for that. So kind of just seeing the dominance he had. But then back-to-back pinfalls against Thomas Nolte in just 55 seconds. Nolte from Millersville, the 7 seed. He would go by the wayside. Yanilevich would move to Sunday. In the semifinals, he would defeat Cody Young of Mercyhurst via pinfall in 4 minutes 22 seconds. He would go to the final, face Marty Carlson of Notre Dame College, the #1 team in Division II, a team that sent 8 different players to the Nationals. Carlson looking to win the 133, but he ran into someone who was just too good. Yanilevich winning 9-0, and congratulations to Evan Yanilevich winning the 133 weight class. He's a regional champion, and he was actually named the most valuable wrestler in the Super Region 1 Championships. 19 points he gave for Kutztown as a team, and he is now tied for 11th in school history with 61 career wins. So congratulations to Evan Yanilevich. He moves on to Cleveland. In the 141, Mitch Volker, the senior, looking to make a trip to the Nationals, and he was in good shape. He made it to the semifinals. He had a bye in the first round, won the second round in sudden victory fashion, 7-5 against Simeon Everett, the 6th seed from American International. However, in the semifinals, he ran into Dylan D'Urso of Mercyhurst, lost 13-0, and then a heartbreaker in the consolation side. Volker in the consolation quarters looking, or the consolation third round, looking to make it to the semis, lost to the 8 seed AJ Fisher 6-3. Volker was down 4-3. He was looking for a takedown to grab the lead, but Fisher instead got the takedown to win 6-3, and that was it for Mitch Volker. In the 149, Joe Esposito had the 3 seed for Kutztown. He would win his first round matchup against Jonathan Barrett of Wheeling Jesuit via major decision 14-4, but he would lose the quarterfinals to Andrew Bannister of Notre Dame College 8-2. Bannister made it to the finals in 145. So Esposito moved to the consolation side, and he would end up losing to Daniel Carpenter of West Liberty via pinfall in 6 minutes and 2 seconds. So Esposito, a young player, he'll return to the team hopefully next year and build off of this year as he falls short of a national bid. In the 157, this one very close for Kutztown in terms of trying to make it to the Nationals. Matt Martocchio, the 4 seed, he would end up getting a bye to the quarterfinals. He would defeat Robert Blotzer of Gannon 9-4 to move to the semifinals, face Jonathan Rivera of Notre Dame College, and he is the best at 157. Martocchio kept it close, lost 3-1 though, decision to move to the consolation side. Martocchio would end up winning against Heath Coles of Pitt Johnstown 5-2, move to the fourth place match against Zach Wojtek of Seton Hill. And it ends up that Wojtek would win by a 3-2 decision, the narrowest of margins, preventing Martocchio to go to Cleveland, Ohio. And as a result, he finishes fourth, just like his seeding said, in the 157. In the 165 for Kutztown, Bo Candelaria found himself coming in to this regional undefeated in the weight class. He was a 5 seed. He hasn't been wrestling at 165 the whole year, so that's the reason for his lower than expected seeding. He received a bye into the quarterfinals, defeated Brett Smith of Seton Hill, who upset the 4 seed Nicholas Giuletti, and Candelaria would win 10-1 against Smith. He would move to the semifinals against another Notre Dame college wrestler, the top seed Eric Berge, and Berge would win by the narrowest of margins, 3-2, to send Candelaria to the consolation side. However, he would get a pinfall victory against Giuletti, so he could have saw him in the winner's side, saw him in the consolation side, won via pinfall in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Moved to the third place match, and against Gary Lance, the 2 seed from Pitt Johnstown, the guy he lost to as a 157 wrestler earlier in the year in the dual meet against the Mountain Cats. By a definitive margin, Candelaria would come back in this one, down very late. He would get an escape to send things to the sudden victory. And then Candelaria down again. He would see himself in the tiebreaker, and in the final seconds, he would get an escape against Lance to go up 3-2. And his side, with the advantage, he would hold for the 30 seconds and end up winning 3-2 as Candelaria finishes third and he moves on to Cleveland. So congratulations to Bo Candelaria. In the 174, Kutztown had Justin Heller to the mat. He would lose to Christopher Matthews of Gannon, 11-3. Heller, the 7 seed, would see himself advance via bye in the consolation, then defeat the 8 seed from Seton Hill and Tyler Mulhenrich by a 5-3 decision, but he ended up losing to the 5 seed Sawyer Lepla of West Liberty by a 7-4 decision, and Justin Heller going 1-2 in the 174 weight class. In the 184, Kutztown had Giovanni Ortiz, the senior, to the mat. The 5 seed would end up winning his first match. After receiving a bye, he would face the 4 seed Luke DeLuise of East Stroudsburg and Ortiz. A very close 2-1 decision victory. He would go up against Travis McKillop, the 1 seed, but McKillop would get a pinfall in 2:43, sending Ortiz from the semis to the consolation side. And Ortiz, he would end up facing Mercyhurst wrestler Dakota De Laurier, and this one was close, 5-4, the decision victory for De Laurier, and Ortiz just 1 shy of moving to that 4th place match, or 3rd place match, I should say, with a chance to go to nationals. But unfortunately, Ortiz's career ends up short of the nationals here in his senior season, and definitely a strong senior campaign for him. A career best 18 victories. He was a national qualifier in 2012 and finished with 54 career victories. The most disappointing finish for Kutztown in the 197, and unfortunately was due to injury, as Brandon Clark was a 4 seed. He was going up in the first round against Jalal Page, someone he defeated in the dual meet against Shippensburg, but Clark lost due to injury in 2 minutes and 59 seconds and had to forfeit from there on out, in a very tough way to end the season for Brandon Clark. He had one of the best seasons of any Golden Bear this year, but Clark will look to return next year. In the heavyweight, though, well, it's Ziad Haddad, a man who's undefeated, hasn't yet to been taken down this year, and he dominated as the 1 seed. Had a bye in his first round, went to the quarterfinals, defeated Jacob Nail of Shippensburg easily, 16-5, major decision. In the semis against Michael Burkhart of Notre Dame College, defeated him easily, 9-0. And then in the finals against Andy Welton of Mercyhurst, he defeated him 11-4. Ziad Haddad, the 285 regional champion. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to Yeno. Congratulations to Bo. Those three are going on to nationals in Cleveland in about 8 days. So we'll be hearing from those wrestlers next week on the Golden Bear Beat. But overall, this team 16th ranked in Division II according to the coaches' polls. They do have some seniors graduating who are on the mat. Ortiz, Volker, Yanilevich will have his season continue, and Lamoureux. There's a lot of promise for this team moving forward to next year, but still 3 guys left to finish out their season, and we'll see how it works for those 3. Meanwhile, for indoor track and field, for Kutztown, we begin things off with the KU women as they saw themselves at Bucknell University for the PSAC Indoor Championships. And day 1 for Kutztown, they saw themselves in the distance medley, finish 8th between Carolyn Fergus, Bree Evans, also Ashley Bauer and Jamie Daly. They finished it in 12 minutes and 37.6 seconds. That's 10th all-time in Kutztown history. In the 400-meter, Nicole Badasser, the freshman, finished 9th. Brandy Nice finished 17th. Meanwhile, in the 60 meters, Evan Dangerfield finished with a season best 8.9 seconds for a finish, but 16th in the PSAC meet. In the 60-meter hurdles, Tori Hollis finished 6th, the career best 9.2 seconds. Autumn Krause, the career best 9.72 seconds, finished in 16th. In the weight throw, Rosaline Farrell finished 4th. Nicole Wildermuth finished 19th. In the pole vault, Emma Sullivan and Destiny DeStasio both finished 5th. DeStasio, her career best mark, moving from 10th to 5th all time at 3.42 meters. Justine Everett, meanwhile, finished 11th. In the 5K, Corinne Manella finished in 10th. Molly McDonald, 11th. That is 7th and 8th all-time, respectively. And then in the 200 meters, Dangerfield finished in 22nd and 27.01 seconds. In the 4x800 relay, you had Jess Huber, Jen Cleary, Carolyn Ferguson, Frances McNally finish in 9 minutes and 38.53 seconds. For the pentathlon, you had Christina Descano finish 5th and Vicky Schaefer finished 9th. Descano, 7th all-time in school history for a pentathlon, point total 29.46. Schaefer at 28.03, finishing 10th all-time. In the second day for Kutztown, in the 60-meter hurdle finals, remember Hollis finished in the top 6. That moving on to the finals, she finished 3rd, 9.07 seconds, a career best mark. In the long jump, Descano finished 4th, the career best 5.35 meters. That puts her now 5th all-time. Rebecca Tooker finished 8th with a career best 5.26 meters. That is 10th all-time. In the mile run, Jen Cleary finished with a season best 5 minutes and 10.42 seconds. That was 7th in the meet. In the shot put, Carly Turber, a career best 11.72 meters. She finished 11th. Vicky Schaefer finished 18th. In the 800, Frances McNally finished 13th. In the 800, Jen Cleary 15th. In the high jump, Rachel Eshelman finished 6th. In the 3K, Manella finished 19th with a career best 10 minutes and 33.14 seconds. McNally, a career best 10 minutes and 38.88 seconds. That was 23rd. Daly finished 26th. In the triple jump, Sarah Kimsey finished 10th. Rebecca Tooker 13th. In the 4x400 relay, you had Evans, Baldasser, Dangerfield, and Nice finishing 5th. Unfortunately for the Golden Bears, none reached the NCAAs. Meanwhile, for the men, you had Kutztown finish up their season as well. They send nobody to the Nationals for the indoor, but here for the men, they see themselves with some finishes that were good for the Golden Bears. individually. Starting off with the Saturday outcomes, you had Karan Kaysen in the prelims in the 60, finished 9th. You had in the 400 prelims, Ron Smith finished 15th and Michael Robinson finished 20th. Jake Austin in the 5K finished 18th with a career best 15 minutes and 38.48 seconds, 8th all-time in Kutztown history. Meanwhile, in the 4x800 relay, you had a combination between Callahan, King, Mayer, and Fleming, finishing in 7 minutes and 57.91 seconds, a season best. In the distance medley, Kutztown finished 11th. On to the long jump, Richard Gatewood finishing 3rd. He was very close to having an NCAA time, but he finished with 6.79 meters, 3rd in the PSAC meet. Sean Burns finished 6th in the pole vault. In the weight throw, Christopher Riccione finished 12th. Tyler Rosshausen, 13th. Brandon Lamy, 18th. In the Sunday outcomes for Kutztown, you had Zach Fleming finish 5th in the mile. As mentioned, a career best time for him. 4 minutes and 16.93 seconds, 2nd all-time in Kutztown history. Brad Mayer finished 9th in the 800. Fleming 16th in the 3K. The 4x400 relay, Smith, Mayer, Gallagher, and Robinson finished 7th. In the shot put, Brandon Lamy finished with a season best 14.7 meters. That was 9th. Christopher Riccione 12th. And then in the high jump, Ricardo Kennedy finished 18th. For the men's side, they finished 10th in the PSAC championships. So did the women. But overall here for the Golden Bears, their indoor season comes to an end. There are 4 Golden Bears to earn all-region honors, and that determined by the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association. And you had Laney Buck as an all-region member in the pole vault, Rachel Eshelman for the high jump, Rosaline Farrell for the weight throw, and Emma Sullivan for the pole vault. So all 4 players in field events did a great job in the indoor season, and the outdoor season will soon be getting underway. Kutztown will have a week to rest, a few weeks to rest actually, 2 of them. And then during spring break, they will be down in North Carolina to get things started for the outdoor season. On to KU Bowling. They were in the 3rd NEC meet as they had themselves in position to make it to the final NEC meet, the postseason meet, and they would get that done with some big victories this weekend. Kutztown seeing themselves earn a victory against Fairleigh Dickinson in the second day, winning 1,000 to 94. They also had wins, 2 of them against LIU Brooklyn, 1 against Sacred Heart, 1 against St. Francis and Long Island. They did lose 1 to Adelphi, 1 to Fairleigh Dickinson, and 1 to St. Francis, as Kutztown, 11th ranked in Division II, ends up 14-10 in conference play in the NEC. The top 2 seeds, St. Francis of PA, 17-7. They get the 1 seed. Fairleigh Dickinson also 17-7. They get the 2 seed. But the top 6 will move on to the NEC Championship March 22nd and 23rd. It's the 6th consecutive season the Golden Bears will go there, and they are now 68-38 on the season. They are heading down to Nashville for the Music City Classic at Vanderbilt University as that begins tomorrow. They are taking the flight out as we speak from Philadelphia to Nashville. So hopefully the women have a lot of fun and get themselves geared up, because next weekend you have the USBC sectionals at Allentown, and we'll preview that next week on the Golden Bear Beat. But as we wrap things up here, we get you some other news and notes. It was a busy last weekend, and we kind of gave you everything you need to know: wrestling, basketball, indoor track and field, bowling, tennis. Also had a big Saturday as for the men's side. They resumed their season, began the spring portion of the year, and they would end up facing the teams they faced in the PSAC postseason last year. They faced Edinboro in the finals, and in this match here, they won 6-3. That was at Edinboro. Kutztown kicking off the PSAC regular season. In singles, Rushi Amin would win his match 4-6, 7-6, 10-4. Varun Desai wins his in straight sets 6-4, 6-3. Lichtenwalner wins his 6-2, 7-5. Ben Nace wins his 6-3, 6-2. In doubles, Kutztown would win 2 of 3. Rushi Amin and Varun Desai winning 8-3. Matt McGuire and Ken Beebe winning theirs 8-2. And then Sunday against Mercyhurst, a team they faced in the semifinals, they won easily, 9-0. Amin Desai winning their doubles 8-1. Lichtenwalner Nace 8-5. McGuire Beebe 9-7. In the singles, Amin wins his 3-6, 6-3. And Desai wins his 6-1, 6-2. McGuire 6-3, 6-2. Hernandez 7-5, 6-2. Lichtenwalner 2-6, 7-6. And Nace 6-3, 6-1. So they get 2 conference victories. Next up for them, they'll be at the spring break trip in Hilton Head, South Carolina. They will see St. Mary's, McDaniel, Illinois, Springfield, Asbury, and Pikeville for their 5 meets in spring break. For the women's side, they were inactive this weekend. They don't have as many teams out west in the PSAC. They're mainly, well, actually, they only face East teams. It's split East and West via division, so the opposite. They have more teams out west. They will be having their spring season begin in Hilton Head. They will face St. Mary's, McDaniel, Illinois, Springfield, and Goucher. So that's how it goes for tennis. Meanwhile, to wrap things up for what happened this past week, lacrosse was set to begin its season yesterday against Georgian Court, but that was postponed as the game was set to be played in Brick, New Jersey, but the weather just not getting there yet in terms of playable surfaces due to the snow that happened this past weekend. Now, very light here at Kutztown, but it was a little bit more moderate east and south of Kutztown and Brick, New Jersey. Very much so east and even a bit south. That led to the field being unplayable. So we'll see if that game is made up, but for now, the next match is slated to be next Wednesday in Philadelphia against Holy Family. We'll see if that match will be able to happen or not, and that'll be, if the game happens, the season opener for KU lacrosse. For this weekend, it's pretty much bowling and lacrosse. Bowling in the Music City Classic in Nashville, and then Wednesday, lacrosse for Holy Family. So it's going to be a nice time here for a lot of teams to rest and get ready for spring break and for that upcoming weekend. You have baseball. They'll be traveling down south after a few games here in the Northeast for their spring break. Softball will be at the Salem Invitational and the NTC College Spring Games. We mentioned both tennis teams. They will be in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Wrestling will be at the NCAA Championships, bowling at the NEC Championships, and track and field will begin its outdoor season in North Carolina. We'll be previewing all that stuff next week on the Golden Bear Beat. But until then, this is Adam Dobrovolsky, and we sign out how we always do here on the Golden Bear Beat. Go Bears, go. Remember, next week we preview the spring break, and after that, we will be off for spring break.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Golden Bear Beat. Make sure to stay updated on everything involving Kutztown University athletics at KUBears.com and tune in for weekly broadcasts every Thursday at noon on KUR.